Coming up on this episode of Game, it's vacation time as Fraggy packs his bags for an island getaway. Show off your footwork and gunplay as we detail all the latest must-play demos of the week. And we sit down with the developers behind the new Halo remake to see how they're changing the game whilst keeping things just the way they are. This is Game. Welcome to the Game Den, guys. I hope you're ready because we've got a pretty awesome app coming your way that'll knock your cotton socks off. My name is Kelly, and today, whether you're a hardcore gamer or someone who's looking to start his slip slide on the slippery slope to digital bliss, we've got something for everyone. So, let's begin by introducing the dude who delivers. Not the pizza guy, but our game guru, the Fraggot. This week, he took the first flight out to Banoi, a sparkling island in the Pacific with one small problem. What could possibly beat the epic combination of sun, sand, and zombies? Well, let's find out how much mischief the Fraggot gets himself into as Dead Island enters the review.
Things that go bump in the night.
What the Jesus?
Me, jerk. Sam B. Okay. Shrunken head, broken legs, body parts on the concrete. Cut them up, butcher style gators in the smoke.
What's your room number? I'll make sure you get there safe and sound.
Stand up. Sam B got the thing that go bump in the night. Arms off with my bare hand. Bump in the night. Voodoo night.
Hey, what's up my fellow action aficionados? Fraggy here, back in the gaming den. Now, if you like your zombie games, you might want to stick around, because in today's game and review, we're going to be knee deep in the dead with one of the latest zombie slashers of the year, Dead Island. Now, if you've been gaming a while, you'll know that the combination of zombies and blunt force trauma has been one of video games' staples since the early days. Because no matter how you slice it, everyone loves a good zombie bashing. So with that in mind, the developers behind today's game and review were looking to make Dead Island not just another zombie game, but the best zombie game. Combining ideas from various zombie video games and also movies and books, Dead Island is all about a group of 4 survivors who have to work together after their island paradise is overrun by the undead. But unlike other zombie-themed first-person games like Left 4 Dead or Killing Floor, which are primarily shooting games set on small maps or locations, Dead Island's focus is on hand-to-hand combat and exploration in a huge open world. So, interesting premise for a zombie smashing, and the place itself does look quite enticing. So without further ado, let's check out what other secrets there are in Dead Island. Okay, so as a fan of role-playing games and games in which you go around bashing zombies, what I liked most about Dead Island was how the game combines both those two elements. You start off as one of 4 characters on the island who happen to be immune to the virus, and because of your immunity, pockets of fellow survivors soon begin asking you for help.
Maybe you can help us.
Now, these quests involve lots of exploration as you scavenge the island, looking for all sorts of things, slowly building your inventory. The world is littered with things you can pick up, so there's no shortage of ways to take out the zombie horde. And by finding special blueprints or mods, you can even upgrade your weapon from a simple nail bat mod to mods which are a little more sinister. Also, like any good RPG, each character does have his own unique skill tree or list of abilities you can upgrade. There's Logan, the ex-football star who's really good at throwing stuff, Perna, who's a whiz with long-range weapons, Cian, who likes stabbing people from behind, and Sam B, the master of the blunt bashy thing. And I think it's really when you've got 4 players online all taking their zombie aggression out at the same time that the real strength of this game starts to show. In addition to their individual abilities, each character has a special rage meter, which builds up during combat, granting superhuman abilities for a couple of seconds. Press the rage button and voila! Instant zombie annihilation. Now, the main problem I had with Dead Island basically boils down to one thing: the lack of polish. Because even on the superior PC version of this game, I did have to go through quite a bit of work to get the game running smoothly. The game ships with more than its share of bugs and annoyances, from graphics stuttering to the fact that there's no way to change your field of view, or really even to mute players, which, as you can imagine, really messes up the atmosphere that I think they were going for.
Is he crying or holding his nose?
Another issue I had was with the inventory management, especially in the earlier sections of the game where your weapons tend to wear out pretty fast. You see, weapons don't last very long, just about 15 to 20 hits.
Need more bullets here!
And because of all this, managing all the broken and semi-broken weapons in your kit can be a real pain, especially when it's so tedious. Also, if you're not the type who likes tinkering with toys, then the gameplay in Dead Island may not be for you. Because aside from all the weapon collecting and upgrading elements, the gameplay in Dead Island pretty much consists of just two steps. Step 1, don't get hit. Step 2, aim for the head. You know, because of the initial problems I had when I first started this game, as well as the general lack of polish, my first few hours in Dead Island had me thinking this was going to be a contender for most disappointing game of the year. But the strange thing is that the more time I'm spending in Dead Island, the more I'm starting to enjoy it. It's not a terribly emotional journey like the original slow-motion trailer would have you believe, and the combat does at times feel a little lacking. But I like to think of it more like a zombie apocalypse simulator. You're always low on health and always on the lookout for a better weapon. It's an expansive open world adventure with lots of awesome action, and if you're the type of gamer who doesn't like to think too much about his games, definitely one to try out.
You could almost believe that you're on the set of Lost. Thanks, Frags, for that fascinating breakdown. Okie dokes, folks, we need to blow the halftime whistle as we give the sponsors due credit. But there's still plenty more action to come in the form of fantastic footy action in our Try Before You Buy segment, the Demo Derby, and more online freebies, something for everyone. Up next on Game. I'm Kelly, this is Game, and up next is your chance to sample the goods before you lay out the moolah. It's your chance now to check out the latest in fancy footwork with the demo for FIFA 12. So if you fancy trying to recreate a 5-0 landslide or an 8-2 massacre, I think it's clear where my loyalties lie, then it's time to spend a little time indoors exercising your thumbs. Let's see what else is in store for you in this week's Demo Derby. In this week's edition of the Derby, strap on your shin guards and pull on your team colours as we go footy crazy with the demo of FIFA 12. Now, as someone used to the continual small updates to the series over the years, this year's FIFA comes as a really nice surprise, with a marked improvement to the sense of realism in the gameplay.
There it is, the equaliser.
Throw in improved player graphics so that your favourite footballers look a little more like how they're supposed to, some nice TV-style presentation, and it all makes for one pretty unforgettable experience. The game features an all-new player impact engine, which I'd heard about before, but trust me, it isn't until you watch the in-game replays of crunching tackles that you realise what a difference it makes. Close control is another feature that's been improved, allowing you to perform precision moves and dribbles, something you couldn't do in the earlier games. The demo features 6 playable teams and sadly only one venue. Now, the full version of the game only releases on the 27th of September, but with a free trial that's as flash as this, time's gonna pass pretty fast. Next up, we take a look at the latest in cyberpunk fantasy as we explore the demo of a game looking to bring back the glory days of old-school shooters in Hard Reset. Set in a distant future with humanity in a war against the machines, this futuristic tale of woe is all about frantic, fast-paced action with a story that draws inspiration from Blade Runner and gameplay which looks like something from Serious Sam. Giving you a pretty large section of the neon-lined city streets to explore, Hard Reset's hook, if you will, is the ability to use electricity to your advantage. Starting you off with 2 guns, a standard assault rifle and a sci-fi looking plasma gun, this free download will give you a good half an hour of shooty fun as you step into what looks like the set of The Fifth Element. Now, unfortunately, no big boss battles like we saw in some of the early screenshots for the game, but all in all, more than enough meat to find out if you're into the game's shoot anything that moves mentality. Definitely one of the better looking games that we've tried this year. If you're up for a bit of mindless blasting, the demo of Hard Reset is available from the link below. Be you liking tricky tackles and over-exaggerated injuries or just blowing stuff up, it looks like you got plenty to keep you occupied. But just in case you're not into that sort of thing, or if you're just starting out, or maybe you're in the market for something that won't cost you a penny, well, look no further. Like a mage needs mana, you need your free-to-play treats. Get ready to jot down those links, guys. This is Online.
In this week's edition of the best free games, we begin with a little intergalactic puzzle platformer all about bending the environment around you. In E7, your job as Earth's final hope is to navigate a strange alien land in hopes of disabling a bomb that the old bug eyes have got aimed at Earth. Trouble is, the surface of the planet is a little, make that a lot softer than you're used to, making for some pretty interesting ways in which to interact with your environment. Pressing down allows you to sink your ship into the ground, allowing you to not only navigate your surroundings, but guess what? Also makes for a pretty cool way to get around. A tranquil, otherworldly adventure with a great artistic sensibility and some smooth tunes to go exploring to. The malleable marshmallow meadows of E7 are available at the address below. Next up, time for some monkey business as we explore a neat little flash-based puzzler all about being the baddest bro on the branch. A light-hearted title all about raiding the jungle's green umbrella for your choice of fruit. Canopy is all about making it from one side of the stage to the other without getting yourself into trouble. Operating your oversized hands is pretty easy and all done with a mouse, and after a quick tutorial, you'll be up and annoying all of Mother Nature's beasts in no time at all. Now, on the surface, Canopy may look rather simple, but with a range of upgrades to bolster your climbing techniques and some truly inventive level design, this flashy attention grabber comes highly recommended. Check it out at the address below. And finally, for our last online freebie, it's a fight for control of the streets in Project Blackout. A tactical shooter set on the urban alleyways of the fictional city of Korogis, this massively multiplayer game features a good selection of maps as you take on rival corporations and the grunts who work for them. An easy to pick up title for anyone who's ever tried their hand at a first-person shooter. Complete missions to earn experience points, which you can then use for upgrades. Now, like most free-to-play FPS games out there, the economy in this game does run on microtransactions, allowing you to pay your way to the top. But with a great selection of game modes, including a rather interesting dino mode where you play as what else but dinosaurs, there are definitely worse ways to spend a weekend.
For a free-to-play game, you've got to admit that Project Blackout looks pretty nifty. Now, if you need those links again, stay tuned. We'll give you more details at the end of the show. But we're not there just yet. There are still a few things to get through, including this commercial break. So stay tuned, because coming right up, we predict the future with a glimpse of what you can look forward to. And we get inside a remake of a gaming classic with a welcome twist. Welcome back, guys. You're with me, Kelly, watching your favorite gaming show. That's kind of crazy when you think about how many games are previewed and released each year. Some that blow your mind away and some that just really blow. But we try and make your life easier to help you look forward to only the ones that we think you'll really like. So what's coming up next? Well, it's none other than the preview.
We begin this edition of The Preview with a look at a recently announced two-toned indie offering which plays on the concepts of light and dark, Enclosure. Set in a puzzle world where objects only exist if they're lit, the trick here is to make use of glowing light orbs to illuminate your way as you jump from platform to platform to make it to the exit. Winner of the award for Best Audio in last year's Independent Games Festival, Closure features some pretty inspired environmental sound design, creating a rich aural backdrop which works wonders for the gloomy atmosphere. Now, if you've already played the Flash version of this game online, the developers are quick to point out that the all-new download-only version of Closure is so much more than a straight port. Featuring over 100 puzzles in addition to all new character art and puzzle mechanics, get ready for some startling midnight revelations when Closure sets in at the end of next month. Moving on, get ready to experience the rage of the heavens in our next title, which looks to tie elements of Asian mythology and science fiction into one heck of an action game in Asura's Wrath. Playing as Asura, a god who gets betrayed by his fellow deities, fight to reclaim what's rightfully yours as you unleash your fury upon your enemies. One of the more cinematic action games out there with a heavy focus on drama and interaction, Asura's Wrath looks to usher in a fresh take on the action game genre, and of course we'll fill you in with more news on this bad boy ahead of its release sometime in the beginning of next year. And finally, to close up the preview, we check in with Capcom's latest epic adventure, a game which takes place in the open-world fantasy setting of Dragon's Dogma. An upcoming action-adventure set for release on both the Xbox 360 and the PS3, this title looks to combine the visceral combat from games like Demon's Souls, along with the exploration and collection elements of the Monster Hunter series. One feature which stands out are the giant boss battles, calling into play the all-new Grab Button, a feature which allows players to physically climb up their enemies to deliver a more crushing attack. Not much word as far as story goes, save for the pretty weird fact that you're on a quest to reclaim your very own heart from a dragon who stole it from you. But of course, we'll keep you guys posted with more info on this open world adventure ahead of its release early next year.
Dragon's Dogma does look doggone good to me, and I'm sure Capcom will deliver. Well, just one more thing before we go. A return of a classic. This year, Halo celebrates its 10th birthday. Happy birthday! Well, they're definitely celebrating it in style by launching Halo Combat Evolved. What's so special about another Halo, I hear you cry? Well, we'll let the guys behind the game tell you more as we step inside Halo Combat Evolved.
There's always been an aspect of Halo 1 multiplayer that was really, really strong, which was Halo 1 had this incredibly diverse set of maps. It really was this incredibly focused experience. It had this beautiful simplicity.
It's not often that a game just addicts me like that, where I have to keep playing it.
It was amazing to me just to see how our entire art team would just go down for entire evenings at a time, right? Just from 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock to just play Halo multiplayer.
It wasn't that easy to just go through and say, oh, well, these are the maps that shipped with the original ones, and this is what we're going to do, because we wanted to do something bigger around the 10th anniversary.
We also had to think about the existing Reach player base, and we didn't want to fragment it.
We were looking at it from the player's perspective in the current day with the current abilities and saying, how would I play this level, and what do I think is missing?
So we looked at maps from the Halo series entire, including Halo CE for PC and even Halo 2. And we thought, which of the maps are people's favorites that work well with the Reach engine and work well with modern kind of gameplay?
Beaver Creek was actually the first map that started the whole conversation of, are we going to enhance the maps or are we going to just do pure remakes?
So for each of the maps, we're doing 2 modes. We're doing a classic mode, which is staying as true to the classic map layout as possible.
Because you have things like sprint and jetpack, we took the opportunity to put in some new spaces and some new routes. There are tunnels and areas that you can keep the flow of the gameplay moving, so it's not so much of a dead end when you get to the end of the canyon.
It's still a small map. It feels bigger than it is.
They don't feel as isolated. You feel very much like you're in a world that's alive and in flux.
We want you to feel that pang of nostalgia in your chest every time you look at the map. Another example of a map that was gray walls all the way through.
We decided to make it a prison by putting it in a place where it couldn't be accessed.
We had to open up a lot of walls with windows.
It's an interesting challenge to add navigation or even add new pathways that aren't dominated by jetpack. And
Damnation is a good example of really pretty much purple walls, and that's what represented the Covenant theme. We really wanted to give people a sense that they were in this water processing plant or this facility that had to deal with these natural elements.
The bottom area at the base of the waterfall, there used to be spaces in between them, so you had to jump from the 3 spaces that extended out. Now that's just a single walkway.
You didn't realize the first time you played it in the original, but now there's all these ledges and different opportunities to get around your opponent and flank them that weren't there before.
I think with our additions, so you don't accidentally fall to your death all the time, and also the jetpack, that map has really changed a lot, just the general flow, and it's a lot of fun to play.
This location we chose is kind of where the genesis of Firefight began.
It's a place where you stop and you defend.
Traditionally, Firefight, you've never really had the Marines fighting with you, and that's something we were able to do, and we thought, well, if we can pull this off, this is going to be a nice new take on Firefight.
Honestly, there's just nothing better than hopping online with a buddy, getting in a Warthog, just killing some grunts. It's fun.
normally with a title update, what happens is you download the title update and your world has changed forever.
So we couldn't really give them the existing Halo CE gameplay with an online component. This was the next best thing.
A lot of the fun of Halo 1 is being able to use the Magnum again, and we wanted to allow you to use that in multiplayer.
We made sure that we can implement these changes on a game type level, which means we can have a version of Slayer that is exactly as it's always been, and a version of Slayer with our title update changes.
We're going to be releasing beta hoppers before the launch of Halo Anniversary, and we're going to utilize all the feedback we get from the millions of players to participate to help ultimately shape this title update.
If people take away one thing from the Halo Anniversary DLC, it's the realization that those old classic maps still feel really modern.
It's like a brand new map all over again once you get the armor abilities in there.
The soul of all of these maps are still very present, and in fact, in many ways, they're enhanced now.
Overall, the campaign and the multiplayer, it just hasn't aged in the way that we expected it to feel. And when I switch to classic mode in campaign, or when I play Beaver Creek in multiplayer, it feels new, and it still feels nostalgic, and that's a strange mixture of feelings.
Okay guys, that wraps up another episode of Game for this week. Remember, you can relive some of the best best bits from game by heading on to espnstar.com/game. Get in touch with any of us on the game team or chat with thousands of other gamers on our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESSgame. For the ever-important links and details, Twitter is where it's at, twitter.com/ESSgame. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.